In the stillness of a remote New Zealand field, a silent sentinel stands guard, untouched for over 2 decades. But one fateful night, the camera of a neighboring farm captured a fleeting glimpse of something that defies explanation, a flash of light that cut through the darkness like a knife, leaving behind an unsettling aura of mystery. As the wind whispered through the grass, the air thickened with an inexplicable tension, a feeling that something otherworldly had returned to reclaim its space. The locals, once dismissive of rumors, now find themselves haunted by the echoes of a past long buried, questioning everything they thought they knew about their world. What emerged from the shadows is not just a pattern etched in the soil, but a chilling reminder of a presence that refuses to be forgotten. Will you dare to uncover the truth? In the stillness of a remote New Zealand field, the night enveloped the landscape like a heavy shroud, the kind that dampens sound and stirs the breath of the unseen. The moon hung low, casting a silvery glow over the undulating hills, while shadows danced in the corners of the viewer's mind. A solitary farmhouse stood a short distance away, its wooden frame creaking softly in the cool breeze. The air was thick with the scent of earth, damp and rich, mingling with the faint metallic tang of something that felt both ancient and unsettling. As the clock struck midnight, a deep silence settled over the field, almost as if time itself held its breath. The only sound was the whispering wind, rustling through the long blades of grass that swayed like ghostly figures in the night. It was a place where nature spoke in hushed tones, where the rustle of leaves and the distant call of a night bird felt like a lullaby meant only for those who dared venture into the unknown. Yet tonight was different. There was an electric charge in the air, a tension that prickled at the skin, foreboding and thick. The neighboring farm, with its weathered barn and scattered livestock, had been witness to many nights like this. But on this particular evening, something was amiss. The cattle in their pens snorted and shuffled, their restless movements betraying a primal instinct that warned of an approaching storm, one not made of thunder and rain, but of something far more enigmatic. The owner, a rugged man named Peter, peered through his kitchen window, the warm glow of the lamp illuminating his furrowed brow. He had heard the stories, the whispered rumors of lights flickering in the fields, of patterns appearing overnight, but he had always dismissed them as mere folklore. Until now. A flash of light sliced through the darkness, bright and blinding, illuminating the field for a brief moment before it vanished, leaving behind an unsettling void. Peter's heart raced, each beat echoing in the quiet of the room as he instinctively reached for his camera, the one he had set up to capture the enchanting yet elusive wildlife that frequented the area. He had a hunch that tonight would be different. His hands trembled slightly as he adjusted the settings, trying to quell the unease that crawled up his spine. Outside, the wind picked up, howling through the trees that bordered the field, and the hairs on the back of Peter's neck stood on end. The atmosphere thickened, creating a palpable sense of dread that seemed to seep into his bones. He stepped outside, the cool air wrapping around him like a chilling embrace. The field lay before him, vast and empty, the darkness concealing secrets that had lain dormant for 2 decades. He could see the outline of the soil, unmarked and untroubled, yet something felt profoundly different. As he stood there scanning the horizon, the camera clicked softly in his hands. He felt a strange vibration ripple through the ground beneath his feet, an almost imperceptible hum that resonated with the core of his being. It was a sensation that both frightened and intrigued him, drawing him closer to the heart of the field, the very spot where the light had danced moments before. The rustling grass seemed to whisper secrets, urging him forward, but a voice in his mind cautioned him to retreat, to turn back before it was too late. But curiosity, the relentless beast, pushed him onward. He crossed into the field, the earth yielding softly underfoot, and as he moved deeper into the darkness, the temperature dropped sharply. It was as if he had crossed an invisible threshold into a world where the rules of nature no longer applied. The air was thick with an electric charge, and the sounds of the night faded into an eerie silence, leaving only the steady thrum of his heartbeat reverberating in his ears. Then, without warning, the light returned. A soft glow, pulsing rhythmically against the backdrop of the night. It hovered above the ground, illuminating a pattern slowly taking shape in the dirt. Peter's breath caught in his throat as he beheld the sight before him. Geometric forms etched into the earth, intricate and mesmerizing, spirals and circles weaving together in a dance that defied explanation. The designs were impossibly perfect, as if crafted by hands that were not of this world. His camera captured the scene, the lens flickering as he recorded the inexplicable phenomena, but it felt inadequate to convey the weight of what he was witnessing. The light pulsated, intensifying with each beat as if it were alive, breathing, calling out to him in a language that transcended words. An overwhelming sensation washed over him, a mixture of fear and awe, pulling him deeper into the embrace of the unknown. The cattle in the distance began to bellow, their voices rising in a crescendo of panic. The sound shattered the silence, and in that moment, Peter's instincts kicked in. He turned to run, to escape the grip of the field that felt as if it were pulling him in. But the ground seemed to shift beneath him. He stumbled, the camera slipping from his grasp, hitting the earth with a dull thud as the light flickered one last time, illuminating the patterns before plunging the field back into darkness. As he scrambled back towards the safety of his home, the vibrations intensified, a chorus of unseen forces resonating through the very air he breathed. He dared not look back, the weight of the mystery heavy upon him, a foreboding sense that something had awakened, not just in the field, but within him. As he reached the door, he glanced back one last time, the darkness now swallowing every trace of light, leaving only the whispering wind as a reminder of the secrets that lay hidden in the heart of the field. Little did he know, the night had only just begun to unveil its chilling truth. The night unfolded like a dark tapestry, woven with threads of apprehension and mystery. Peter stumbled through the winding dirt path that led to his home, the weight of the chilling encounter still lingering in his mind, like an echo of a forgotten dream. The cool air wrapped around him, sharp and biting, carrying with it a scent that was both earthy and metallic, a reminder of the uncanny presence that had invaded his quiet world. Each step he took sent ripples of anxiety coursing through him, the soft crunch of gravel beneath his boots contrasting sharply with the cacophony of terrified cattle that echoed from the distance. Their frantic bellowing filled the night, a haunting symphony that seemed to punctuate the silence with its raw, primal fear. He could almost feel their panic seep into his bones, urging him to escape the unseen terror that lurked in the shadows. The moon hung low in the sky, a ghostly orb casting an ethereal glow over the landscape, but it offered little comfort. The familiar contours of his surroundings felt foreign, distorted by the weight of what had just unfolded in the field. The barn, once a haven of warmth and safety, now loomed like a dark monolith, shrouded in secrets and half-formed fears. Peter pressed his back against the weathered wood of the barn door, his heart racing as he struggled to catch his breath. The echoes of the pulsating light danced behind his eyelids, a vivid imprint that he could not shake. He could still hear the rhythm, the almost musical thrum that resonated through the air, vibrating in harmony with the pulse of the earth. It was a call, a beckoning from something far beyond his understanding, and it clawed at his sanity, urging him to return to the field, to uncover what lay hidden beneath the layers of night. He forced himself to take a deep breath, the coolness of the air filling his lungs, but it was tinged with the lingering essence of something inexplicable. The shift of the wind carried whispers, indistinct and fleeting, like secrets exchanged in hushed tones among unseen entities. It sent shivers racing down his spine, a primal instinct warning him to heed the signs. to stay away from the darkness that had begun to unfold around him. In the distance, a low rumble of thunder echoed ominously, and Peter glanced skyward, half expecting to see storm clouds gathering. Instead, the night was eerily still, the stars twinkling like distant eyes, watching his every move. He felt exposed, vulnerable, as if the very cosmos had turned its gaze upon him, scrutinizing his existence. With trembling hands, he picked up the camera that had slipped from his grip, the device now a relic of the unspeakable moment he had just witnessed. He fumbled with the buttons, his fingers slick with sweat as he replayed the footage, desperate to capture the essence of the phenomenon that had unfolded. But the images flickered before him, distorted and grainy, failing to convey the overwhelming sensation that had engulfed him. The geometric patterns etched into the earth had been breathtaking, mesmerizing in their perfection, yet they felt wrong, alien, as if they were remnants of a language not meant for human eyes. The realization struck him like a bolt of lightning. These shapes were not merely designs, they were messages, perhaps warnings inscribed in the very soil of his home. The vibrations returned, subtle yet insistent, a low hum that resonated through the ground beneath him. It was as if the earth itself was alive, breathing in tandem with the rhythm of the universe. The sensation prickled at his skin, igniting a deep-rooted fear that something was stirring, something that had been dormant for far too long. Peter's mind raced with questions, each one more unsettling than the last. What had he stumbled upon? And why did the air feel thick with a presence that was both inviting and terrifying? A part of him craved to unravel the mystery, to dive into the unknown, while another part screamed for him to turn away, to shut the door on the secrets that threatened to consume him. And then, from the corner of his eye, he caught a flicker of movement in the field, a shadow against the dark expanse that sent his heart into a frantic gallop. The world around him fell silent, the cacophony of the cattle fading into an eerie hush as he strained to see through the suffocating darkness. The light had returned, a soft glow pulsing in the distance, and with it came the undeniable sense that he was not alone. In that moment, Peter's instincts kicked in again, but this time they warred against his curiosity. The door to the barn felt like a barrier between him and the truth, but with each pulse of the light, it beckoned him to step outside, to confront whatever lay beyond the threshold of his understanding. As the vibrations intensified, he felt the cold swell within him, a magnetic pull that promised enlightenment, yet threatened to unravel the very fabric of his reality. The darkness beyond the barn door whispered of mysteries yet to be uncovered, and as Peter stood frozen in place, he understood that the night was far from over. What lay before him was a path into the unknown, a journey fraught with danger and discovery, where every heartbeat echoed with the promise of revelation and perhaps an encounter with something greater than himself. The choice loomed before him: to remain in the safety of ignorance or to step into the light of the unknown, knowing that some doors, once opened, can never be closed again. The air around Peter felt electric, each breath he took thick with an unnameable tension. A low hum reverberated through the ground, vibrating against his bones, a sound that seemed to come from the very essence of the earth itself. It was a melody of the night, a sinister lullaby that wrapped itself around him like a serpent, squeezing tighter with every pulse of the distant light. It was not merely sound, it was a sensation, a physical force that seemed to beckon him forward, igniting both dread and intrigue within him. He stepped outside the barn, the wooden door creaking in protest as it swung open. The cool night air washed over him, a stark contrast to the oppressive atmosphere inside. The vastness of the field stretched before him, shrouded in darkness, yet illuminated by that strange glow pulsating in the distance. It was mesmerizing, almost hypnotic, as if it held secrets that only the brave or the foolish would dare to uncover. Peter's heart raced as he took a tentative step forward, the dry earth crunching beneath his boots, each sound amplified in the quiet that enveloped him. As he moved deeper into the field, shadows danced around him, morphing into shapes that played tricks on his mind. The wind whispered through the tall grass, a soft susurration that felt like voices carrying ancient messages, urging him to listen, to understand. The chill of the night seeped into his bones, but it was not the cold that frightened him. It was the feeling that he was being watched, that unseen eyes were tracing his every movement. He paused, scanning the horizon, but saw only the gentle undulations of the land, the faint outlines of trees standing sentinel against the moonlight. Then came the first sign that something was fundamentally wrong. A sudden shift in the wind sent a shiver down his spine, carrying with it an odor akin to burnt metal, sharp and acrid, that filled his nostrils. It was accompanied by a low, resonant thrum that seemed to pulse from the very ground beneath him, reverberating in his chest like a heartbeat. The cattle in the nearby pen had fallen silent, their usual restless movements replaced by a heavy stillness, as if they sensed the impending disturbance that had woven its way into the fabric of the night. Peter's pulse quickened. The glow intensified, shifting from a soft luminescence to a vibrant aura that danced with a life of its own. It drew him in, each flicker igniting an insatiable curiosity that battled against the primal instinct to flee. He felt the vibrations intensify, echoing through the air, and with it came a subtle, yet undeniable change. The very atmosphere seemed charged, as if they were teetering on the edge of something monumental, something that could shatter the fragile veil of reality. The ground beneath him began to tremble, not violently, but with an insistent rhythm that resonated with his heartbeat, a syncopation that drew him closer to the source of the light. Peter's breath hitched as he noticed something shifting within the glow, a geometric pattern beginning to take shape in the field, intricate and mesmerizing. It was as if the earth itself was being drawn into a design not of this world, a pattern that felt ancient yet wholly alien, invoking a sense of reverence and fear. He stepped forward, compelled by an unseen force, the details of the formation becoming clearer with each step. The air thrummed around him, vibrating with an energy that felt alive, pulsing in harmony with the growing light. The shapes were impossibly perfect, a stark contrast to the wild chaos of the surrounding field, each line sharp and defined. The realization dawned on him with a jolt. He was standing on the precipice of something extraordinary, something that could redefine everything he understood about the world. Then, in a heartbeat, the light flickered violently, casting long, wavering shadows that danced across the ground, warping the very reality around him. The hum escalated into a deafening roar, enveloping him in a cocoon of sound that drowned out his thoughts, his fears, until all that remained was the overwhelming sensation of being utterly lost in the moment, part of a cosmic tapestry woven with threads of existence that transcended time and space. And just as quickly as it had begun, the sound stopped. Silence fell like a thick blanket over the field, heavy and stifling. Peter stood there, the stillness pressing down on him, his heart pounding in the sudden absence of the rhythm that had just enveloped him. The glow flickered once more, and in that eerie quiet, he felt a shift, a presence that seemed to rise from the earth itself, an awareness that seeped into his very being. Was it the land, the universe, or something far more enigmatic? The questions spiraled in his mind, but all he could do was stand there, rooted to the spot, as the air thickened around him with anticipation. What would happen next? Would he be consumed by the mystery, or would he find answers in the depths of the unknown? The very essence of fear twisted within him, but it was tinged with a thrilling electric excitement, a whisper of adventure that promised revelations beyond the ordinary. With the weight of the night pressing down on him, Peter felt the first tremors of a decision forming within. He could turn back, retreat into the safety of the barn, where the familiar comfort of ignorance awaited him, or he could step closer to the light, embrace the chaos of the unknown, and uncover the truth that had been hidden for so long. As he took a deep breath, the choice lay before him, heavy and potent, echoing through the silence of the field, waiting for him to take that next step into a reality that was anything but certain. The night air had shifted, a tangible force that seemed to vibrate with an energy all its own. As Peter stood there, the remnants of the cacophony still echoing in his mind, he felt the ground beneath him pulse softly, as if the earth was alive, breathing and aware of his presence. The light flickered again, this time revealing a pattern in the field, a formation that was more than random. It was geometric, precise, a series of intricate shapes that spiraled and twisted, defying the simple logic of nature. The silence that followed the roar was not merely an absence of sound. It was a living entity that wrapped around him, suffocating yet exhilarating. The shadows cast by the light created an illusion of movement, making the corners of his vision dance with unspoken secrets. He strained his ears, hoping to catch any hint of sound, but the only thing that greeted him was the whisper of the wind, which carried a strange metallic scent, sharp and foreign, that made his heart race. Each breath he took felt like a gamble, as if he was inhaling the very essence of the mystery that enveloped him. The smell was both intoxicating and repulsive, invoking memories of old machinery and rusted metal, intermingled with the fresh earthiness of the soil. It was a fragrance that suggested something ancient, something that had been buried deep within the land long before he had set foot on it. Peter took a tentative step forward, his boots sinking slightly into the damp earth, which felt as though it was holding him back, warning him against the reckless pursuit of knowledge. The moment he crossed the threshold of the light, he felt an electric charge coursing through him, a jolt that sparked his senses alive. The patterns in the field became clearer, intricate designs that intertwined like the threads of fate, drawing him deeper into their enigmatic embrace. Suddenly a low hum began to reverberate through the ground, a sound both distant and near, like an echo of something not quite of this world. It resonated in his bones, a vibration that felt as though it was speaking directly to him, urging him to listen, to understand. He could feel the air thickening with tension as he moved closer, his pulse quickening with each step, a primal instinct warning him of the danger that lay ahead. As he neared the formation, the light dimmed, and he could see the shapes more distinctly, circles within circles, spirals that seemed to defy logic, twisting into a vortex that pulled at his very soul. The ground around them was undisturbed, the blades of grass bent but unbroken, as if whatever force had created this phenomenon had been careful not to harm the earth itself. A chill washed over him, a sense of reverence mingled with the terror of the unknown. Then, without warning, the hum intensified, enveloping him in a cocoon of sound that was both soothing and terrifying. It was as if he were standing on the edge of a revelation, teetering on the brink of understanding something that could shatter his reality. The atmosphere around him crackled with energy, and for a brief moment, he felt connected to everything, the stars above, the earth below, the vastness of the universe swirling around him in a cosmic dance. Peter's heart raced as he strained to decipher the message hidden within the hum. Was it a warning? A call to action? Or was it something else entirely, a signal from a realm beyond his comprehension? The air felt charged with possibilities, and as he gazed into the patterns, he could almost see them shift and pulse, as if they were alive, breathing in rhythm with the sound that surrounded him. He took a step closer, drawn by an inexplicable force, when suddenly a sharp crack split the air, a sound like thunder, yet without the storm. It reverberated through the ground, shaking him to his core. Instinctively he stumbled back, his heart hammering in his chest as the light flickered violently once more, casting erratic shadows that twisted and contorted before him. In that moment, everything felt unreal, as if he were caught in a dream that threatened to spiral out of control. The sensation of being watched returned, a prickling awareness that he was not alone in this vast expanse. The hairs on the back of his neck stood on end, and a chill crept down his spine, igniting a primal fear deep within his gut. He was an intruder in a realm where he did not belong, and the very air seemed to thrum with the tension of that realization. Peter's mind raced as he fought against the fear that threatened to paralyze him. Was he truly prepared to uncover whatever secrets lay hidden beneath the surface? The allure of the unknown beckoned him, but so did the instinct to flee, to turn back to the safety of the barn and the comforting ignorance of everyday life. Yet as he stood there, he felt the pull of destiny, the weight of something profound that demanded his attention. The hum shifted again, morphing into a melody, haunting and beautiful, that wrapped around him like a shroud. It whispered promises of revelation and danger, teasing him with the prospect of understanding the incomprehensible. The patterns in the field seemed to glow brighter, pulsing in time with the rhythm of the sound, as if inviting him to step deeper into the enigma. And then, in a fleeting moment of clarity, he understood that he was standing at the crossroads of fear and revelation. With a deep breath, he braced himself against the tide of uncertainty that threatened to sweep him away. He could feel the very fabric of reality shifting around him, and he knew that whatever lay ahead, he would have to confront it, either as a participant in the unfolding mystery or as a witness to the events that would soon reveal the true nature of the cosmos that surrounded him. Peter stood at the edge of the field, the air thick with an electric tension that seemed to vibrate through his very soul. The haunting melody continued to weave around him, pulling his senses into a kaleidoscope of emotions, fear, curiosity, and an inexplicable yearning for understanding. Each note resonated with the pulse of the earth beneath his feet, creating a symphony that felt both ancient and otherworldly. The night had draped itself over the landscape like a velvet curtain, the moon casting a silvery glow that illuminated the intricate patterns etched into the ground. It was as if the field itself had been transformed into a living tapestry, the crops bending gracefully to reveal perfect geometric shapes that defied logic and reason. The circles, spirals, and angles were not merely formations, they were messages, whispers from a cosmos that had long been shrouded in silence. As he stepped closer, the ground beneath him felt strangely warm, almost alive, as if it were breathing in tandem with the melody that enveloped him. Each step sent a ripple of sensation coursing through his body, and he could feel the vibrations resonating in his bones. The symphony of sounds, the rustling of leaves, the distant calls of night creatures, and the ever-present hum merged into a singular heartbeat, a rhythm that echoed the pulse of something vast and unfathomable. In the stillness of the night, Peter's mind began to race with questions that clawed at the edges of his consciousness. What had he stumbled upon? The air was thick with the scent of damp earth and something metallic, as if the very atmosphere was charged with a warning yet to be revealed. The sensation of being watched intensified, wrapping around him like an invisible shroud, and he couldn't shake the feeling that the patterns in the field were not just a phenomenon, but an invitation to witness something that transcended the boundaries of human understanding. The melody shifted again, this time intertwining with the ambient sounds of the night. It ebbed and flowed like the tide, rising and falling in a dance that felt both inviting and threatening. The hairs on the back of his neck prickled, and he turned slightly, half expecting to see a figure emerge from the shadows. But there was nothing. Only the oppressive weight of the silence, punctuated by the heartbeat of the earth and the pulse of the patterns glowing softly before him. Peter felt a surge of determination wash over him. If there was a truth hidden within this cosmic riddle, he was determined to uncover it, to become a part of the narrative that was unfolding before him. He took a deep breath, steeling himself for whatever lay ahead, and stepped into the field, the light from the mysterious formations illuminating his path. As he wandered deeper, he noticed the shapes began to shift subtly, as if responding to his presence. The patterns seemed to breathe, expanding and contracting with every beat of his heart. He felt a connection, a link that transcended time and space, as if the very fabric of the universe was revealing itself to him. But with this revelation came a creeping dread, the realization that understanding could come at a cost. Each step felt monumental, echoing in the stillness, and he could sense the weight of countless eyes upon him, although he could see nothing. The melody grew louder, more insistent, urging him forward. It was no longer just sound, it was a call, a beckoning from the unknown, a siren song that promised answers but hinted at dangers he could scarcely comprehend. Suddenly the ground beneath him trembled once more, a visceral reminder of the power that lay just below the surface. The air thickened, and he felt a rush of wind whip through the field, carrying with it an unsettling chill that seeped into his bones. It was a warning, a reminder that he was treading dangerous ground. His heart raced as he glanced around, half expecting to see something emerge from the shadows, something that could explain the inexplicable. Then, amidst the swirling sensations and the haunting melody, he caught sight of something. A flicker of movement, a shadow dancing just beyond the edge of his vision. He turned abruptly, his breath catching in his throat, but it was gone as quickly as it had appeared. The sensation of being watched intensified, wrapping around him like tendrils of smoke, and he could feel the weight of unseen presences lurking just beyond the veil of reality. Peter stood frozen, caught in a moment where time seemed to stretch infinitely, the air thick with anticipation. Was he truly alone here, or had he unwittingly become part of something far greater than himself? The answer lay just beyond his reach, tantalizingly close, yet maddeningly elusive. The melody transformed once more, now a crescendo that reverberated through the ground and into his very core, igniting a sense of urgency that propelled him forward. He needed to uncover the truth, to peer into the darkness and bring the light of understanding to what lay hidden in the depths of the cosmos. As he moved deeper into the field, he felt the ground pulse beneath him, urging him onward, promising revelations that could change everything. But with each step, the shadows thickened and the air grew heavier, laden with secrets that begged to remain undiscovered. In that moment of uncertainty, he realized that the line between knowledge and ignorance, revelation and despair, was razor thin. The melody echoed around him, a haunting refrain that promised clarity while shrouding him in darkness. And as he pressed on, the night deepened, wrapping him in its embrace, leaving him to wonder if some truths were better left buried in the silence of the unknown. As dawn broke over the horizon, the field lay shrouded in a heavy mist, the remnants of the night still clinging to the earth like a whispered secret. Peter stood at the edge of the formation, his breath forming fleeting clouds in the cool morning air. The world around him felt altered, as if the very fabric of reality had been woven differently overnight. The geometric patterns etched into the crops sprawled out before him like a cryptic message from a realm beyond understanding. Each circle, each line, was a testament to an event that defied all reason, a puzzle begging to be solved yet remaining stubbornly opaque. The air was thick with the scent of damp soil, mingled with a metallic tang that seemed to cling to the back of his throat, provoking a deep unease within him. As he stepped closer, he noticed the plants bent in perfect arcs, untouched, yet undeniably altered, as if some unseen force had caressed them with a delicate yet deliberate intention. The sun's early rays flickered through the mist, casting strange shadows that danced along the contours of the field. evoking an unsettling sense of movement where there should have been stillness. Peter knelt down, feeling the cool earth beneath his palms, grounding himself as he tried to process the enormity of what had transpired. The weight of the unknown pressed heavily upon his shoulders, a burden that threatened to crush his resolve. He could hear distant sounds, whispers carried on the wind, a haunting melody that echoed the rhythm of his racing heart. It was as if the very ground beneath him was alive, pulsating with a heartbeat that resonated through his bones, beckoning him to delve deeper into the mystery. But lurking beneath this allure was a primal fear, a reminder that some answers might shatter his understanding of the world. He glanced towards the horizon, where the first rays of sunlight struggled to penetrate the thick fog. The isolation of the field loomed large, the vast expanse around him amplifying his sense of vulnerability. With each passing moment, he felt the invisible eyes upon him, watching, waiting. The sensation was overwhelming, a chorus of unspoken fears echoing in his mind as he wrestled with the gravity of what he had witnessed. Suddenly, a low rumble vibrated through the ground, a sound so deep and resonant that it seemed to awaken every fiber of his being. Peter's heart leapt in his chest as the vibrations intensified, a pulsating rhythm that matched the increasing tempo of his thoughts. He could feel the energy in the air shift, the atmosphere crackling with a tension that hinted at the unfolding of something monumental. It was as if the very essence of the cosmos was revealing itself, layer by layer, and he was caught in its gravitational pull. He stood, taking a hesitant step forward, feeling the earth shift beneath him as the vibrations continued to resonate. The melody morphed, intertwining with the sounds of the wind, creating a haunting symphony that echoed the mysteries of the universe. He closed his eyes, allowing the sounds to wash over him, immersing himself in the profound silence that lingered at the fringes. Was he losing himself to the allure of the unknown? Or was he merely a witness to something far beyond his comprehension? A fleeting memory flickered in his mind, an old tale told by his grandfather about the ancients who once walked these lands, beings who had the power to commune with the stars. They spoke of sacred geometry, of patterns that held the keys to unlocking the secrets of existence. Peter had always dismissed those stories as fanciful myths, but now, standing amidst the remnants of the night, the weight of those words pressed heavily upon him. Had he unwittingly crossed a threshold into their world, a realm where the boundaries of reality blurred with the ethereal? Just then, a figure emerged from the fog, a silhouette against the rising sun, its outline sharp yet indistinct. Peter's breath caught in his throat as he squinted, straining to discern the shape. With each fleeting moment, the figure seemed to shift, evoking a sense of familiarity that sent shivers down his spine. Was this another witness, a seeker like him? Or was it something more insidious, an entity drawn to the cosmic disturbance that had unfolded? The figure drew closer, the mist swirling around it like a shroud. Peter felt a surge of adrenaline, a primal instinct urging him to flee. Yet he remained rooted to the spot, curiosity battling against fear. As the figure stepped into the light, the world around him seemed to hold its breath, and in that suspended moment, he glimpsed the truth, a reflection of himself, distorted yet resonant, as if the very essence of his being was entwined with the mysteries of the cosmos. And then, just as quickly as it had appeared, the figure dissolved into the mist, leaving Peter alone once more, a solitary figure amidst the vast expanse of the field. The vibration faded, but the echo of its presence lingered, a reminder that he had touched the edge of something profound. The geometric patterns remained, etched into the earth, whispering secrets that he could not yet grasp. As he stood there, a deep sense of foreboding settled within him. The world felt impossibly vast and impossibly small all at once, and the weight of knowledge pressed down upon him, a stark reminder that some truths were not meant to be unearthed. He turned away from the formation, the chill of the morning air wrapping around him like a cloak, and with each step toward the road, he could feel the shadows of the night lingering just at the periphery of his vision, a silent promise that the journey was far from over. In the distance, the sun continued its ascent, casting a golden hue over the field. Yet Peter couldn't shake the feeling that the darkness remained, waiting, watching. The final piece of the puzzle was still hidden, and as he left the field behind, he knew that the answers he sought were woven into the very fabric of the cosmos, tantalizingly close, yet forever out of reach. The mystery had only deepened, and with it, the haunting realization that some questions were best left unanswered, lingering in the silence of a world that held more secrets than he could ever hope to uncover. The air was thick with an eerie silence as Peter stumbled away from the field, the golden light of dawn painting the horizon in hues of orange and pink. Each step felt heavy with the weight of the revelation he'd just encountered, and despite the warmth of the sun breaking over the land, the chill of the night clung to him like a shadow. The geometric patterns etched into the soil seemed to pulse in his mind, a rhythm that resonated with the very core of his being. It was a reminder of the inexplicable, a persistent whisper of something that had been lurking just beyond the veil of reality. As he walked along the dirt road back to the small town of Maplewood, the familiar sights took on an alien quality. The rustling of leaves, the distant call of a crow, even the gentle sway of the fields felt charged with a new, unsettling energy. The world had shifted, and he was acutely aware that he was no longer just a passive observer of life unfolding around him. He had crossed a threshold, delving into realms that his mind struggled to comprehend. The shadows of the trees lining the road seemed to stretch longer than usual, their limbs twisting like gnarled fingers, reaching out to him, urging him to look back. He could feel their eyes, some unseen presence watching him from the depths of the foliage, waiting for him to falter, to turn back and confront the inexplicable. Each crack of a twig underfoot echoed in his ears, a reminder that the solitude of the night had been replaced by an overwhelming awareness of the unseen. It was as if the land itself was alive, vibrating with secrets. The scent of damp earth mixed with the faint metallic tang of fear hung heavily in the air, a reminder of what he had witnessed. He recalled the figure emerging from the mist, its form both familiar and foreign, as though it had been conjured from the deepest recesses of his subconscious. The memory sent a shiver down his spine, and he quickened his pace, desperate to escape the clutches of his thoughts. Yet no matter how fast he walked, the feeling of something watching remained, a specter that trailed just out of sight. Upon reaching the outskirts of Maplewood, the small town appeared deceptively tranquil. The quaint houses, with their picket fences and blooming gardens, seemed to be untouched by the cosmic disturbance he had just experienced. Yet, he knew better. He could sense the undercurrents of tension simmering beneath the surface. The hushed conversations among neighbors, the furtive glances exchanged between those who had felt the vibrations of that fateful night. As he approached the local diner, the familiar jingle of the doorbell offered little comfort. The smell of coffee and pancakes wafted through the air, a stark contrast to the otherworldly sensations still clinging to him. He took a seat at the counter, his mind racing with thoughts that refused to settle. The waitress, a middle-aged woman with kind eyes, noticed the pallor on his face and asked, "You all right, hun? You look like you've seen a ghost." Peter forced a smile, but the words caught in his throat. How could he explain? How could he articulate the profound unease that had taken root in him? He shook his head, ordering a coffee, and as he waited, he glanced around the diner, searching for signs of the strange events that had transpired. The townsfolk were engaged in their morning rituals, but he could see the flickers of concern in their eyes. The conversations felt heavy, laden with unspoken fears. He overheard snippets, reports of odd lights in the fields, strange noises echoing at night, animals acting uncharacteristically agitated. Each word was a piece of a puzzle that he had unwittingly inserted himself into, and with every revelation, the tightness in his chest constricted further. As he sipped his coffee, the warmth did little to thaw the chill in his bones. He felt the weight of the geometric pattern still pressing upon him, a haunting reminder of his encounter. The waitress returned with his breakfast, and as she placed the plate in front of him, her eyes flickered toward the window. "You see that?" she said, her voice low. "Something's not right. The crops over at Miller's farm, perfect circles. No one's been able to explain it." Peter's heart raced. The Miller's farm was just a stone's throw from the field he had wandered into. He had been drawn to that very area, compelled by an unseen force. "What do you mean? Circles?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "Perfectly formed, like some kind of art, but the plants, no signs of damage, just folded over, like they were pressed down by something heavy," she explained, her brow furrowing in concern. "And the animals? They won't go near it. It's like they know something we don't." The waitress's words resonated deeply within him, echoing the lingering dread that had settled in his gut. It felt as if the very fabric of reality was fraying, unraveling at the edges, and he was at the center of it all, a reluctant participant in a cosmic design far beyond his comprehension. As he finished his meal, Peter knew he couldn't stay in Maplewood any longer. The answers he sought were not to be found in the mundane routine of small-town life. They lay somewhere in the heart of the mystery, in the geometric patterns that continued to pulse in his mind like the echo of a distant heartbeat. He settled his bill, his thoughts racing with possibilities, and stepped back out into the fresh air. The sun now hung higher in the sky, but the shadows remained, whispering secrets he was not yet ready to confront. The weight of the unknown pressed heavily upon him, and he felt a strong pull back toward the field, back toward the place where the veil between worlds had thinned. The echoes of the night lingered still, a haunting reminder that the journey was far from over, and the mysteries of the cosmos awaited him just beyond the horizon of understanding. With each step he took, he felt the pull of destiny guiding him, inexorably drawing him back into the embrace of the unknown. The last detail, the final piece of the puzzle, was still hidden from view, but he knew, deep down, that it was waiting for him, shrouded in mist and shadows, ready to reveal itself in a way he could never have anticipated. And as the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting long shadows across the path ahead, Peter understood that this was just the beginning. The fabric of the cosmos was alive, and he had become a thread woven into its intricate design, forever changed by the mysteries he had touched, and forever haunted by the questions that would remain unanswered.